Well, the two rather perplexed assistants there were Turlough and, of course, Tegan, and playing the roles, Janet Fielding and Mark Strickson. I suppose becoming well known to the public to such a degree, it must play havoc with your private life. Do people assume that you are part of their lives now? Do you become sort of public property?
Well, what's happened to me is that I moved house recently, and it's on a sort of quite an ordinary street in Clapham. And these kids keep coming around and knocking on the door and sort of saying, got any odd jobs for me to do, you know, anything that I can help you with or anything. And they sort of want me to pay them all the time, you know, and keep giving them money because I'm on telly, therefore I must be rich. Wrong.
Mark, you were at Pebble Mill not so long ago playing an ambulance driver on Angels. How does being in Doctor Who differ?
Well, I've got a different accent. No, it's different. I mean, the public thing is, I'd like to say it was a problem, but nobody ever recognises me.
Really?
The only time anybody ever recognised me was when my dear wife's dad came down. He's a very loud Scotsman. And he went round the whole time thinking that people were going to recognise me. So he'd go round and he'd say, do you not recognise me because I was in Gone with the Wind? And everybody used to look at me because there was this amazingly loud Scotsman, so that's the only time I got recognised.
You play
it hasn't changed my life at all.
You poor soul. I bet your bank manager's happier though.
No, he's not either, no. It hasn't changed his life.
You play a bit of a feminist character in this series, don't you?
I can't envisage any feminist becoming an air stewardess. It's not really a feminist's occupation.
But I mean, compared to...
She's quite bolshy. I mean, she's Australian and she's sort of, you know, quite a strong girl and quite a strong character and used to sort of being, you know, the boss, really.
Well, you two are assistants, and somebody else who joined the series and became very well known was another Time Lord, Mary Tamm, who we would have seen on television
Time Lady.
Time Lady, I beg your pardon. We've seen you, of course, in Jane Eyre last night.
Yes.
How did you go through the aspects of the public assuming that you were their property?
Well, I had a similar experience to Janet, actually, because we moved to a new house, and we didn't get round to doing the living room until very late, so we didn't have any curtains up. And I'm very short-sighted, and I didn't notice that every day there were about 6 or 7 kids with their noses pressed up against the window pane. And I had to take to crawling around on my hands and knees so they didn't see me. It was quite unnerving, actually.
Do you have to watch your behaviour in public when kids identify with you?
Yes, I think you do, actually. I mean, you mustn't swear or smoke or use bad language or anything like that. I think you do have to be aware of it, yes, when you're doing a kids' programme.
From Mark's guffaw over my shoulder, I take it you don't behave perfectly all the time.
I behave absolutely
Exemplary.
I'm a saint.
Absolutely, I would back you up there, Mark.
It's all lies.
Yes.
Have you ever, Mary, thought about why the programme has lasted 20 years?
I think it's just one of those things, you know. I mean, who can tell what's going to be successful and what isn't? It's just chemistry. I think it captures the imagination and it appeals to all generations, kids, adults, the rest of it.
Well, we're going to have a look at just some of the Doctors who have appeared in the series. The original Doctor, of course, was a kind of tetchy, irascible old character. And the latest Doctor, played by Peter Davidson, you can see him there in the middle next to John Pertwee. He's an English gentleman who wears 19th century cricket whites. John Pertwee played the role as a dandy. It was he who introduced the yellow Whomobile car. And Patrick Troughton on the right was a kind of space-age Charlie Chaplin. He was a hobo who actually seemed scared of the monsters that he encountered. The longest-running Doctor was played by Tom Baker, who played the Doctor for 7 years. And his role was played with kind of spontaneity and almost a constant air of celebration. He also introduced the long scarf look. Well, one man who worked with all 5 Doctors was the commander of the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, the long-suffering Brigadier, played by Nicholas Courtney. Nice to see you, sir, without your uniform on. I felt we should all stand to attention where you want.
Yeah? No. No moustache, you see, you don't have to.
Ah, right. How did you model your character? Did you have anybody to work from?
Well, originally, Douglas Camfield, who directed The Web of Fear, which is the first time I appeared as Lethbridge Stewart was Colonel then, I had an idea that we'd base it on Mad Mitch of Aden, because that was very much what was going on at the time, you know. Sort of man, I hope, who would lead his men from the front, not from behind, you know, a bit of a daring.
I suppose a lot of people ask you which is your favourite Doctor. I won't do that because I think that would be
I've got a standard answer, it's good.
They're all the same, I suppose.
No, wonderful chaps, all of them, which is one of the lines that comes out in the Doctor Who special. Either that or the one I'm working with at the time is my favourite. That's the diplomatic answer.
What I would like to ask you, though, is what is your favourite time or planet or adventure that you've had?
I think my favourite is The Demons, because it was wonderfully done story. Everything worked. It was all on film. It was striking at the BBC at the time. We did everything on film. Either that or Inferno is one of my favourites, because I had a chance to play two brigadiers, not like the one I did earlier this year, Morton Undead, but I played the Brig, who I hope people love, and the fascist Brig. It was one I had an eye patch on. England had become a fascist state and that sort of thing. And that was very interesting to do, to play two completely separate parts in one story.
How do you all handle the aspect of typecasting? Because nobody stays in Doctor Who for very long. Janet, for instance, I mean, has that worried you, typecasting?
Well, I can't complain thus far because I play an Australian in Doctor Who, and I finished that 4 weeks ago. And I've just spent the last 2 weeks playing a South London girl in Minder, so I can't really complain.
What about you, Miriam?
Well, like Janet, I think I've been very lucky because I did a lot of work before Doctor Who and a lot of work since. I've just finished a new comedy series for the BBC, which is totally different. It's called The Hello Goodbye Man, plug, coming out next year. And I think on the whole, I've had quite a lot of varied parts. Probably the same type, because you're quite bound by the way you look and the way you sound a lot of the time. But yes, I think it was a good thing for me to do, really, on the whole. I enjoyed it, and I think it was, you know, as I say, good for casting sins.
Well, 20 years is being celebrated this week, and we've got a very special cake, which I'd like you to help me finish off. What we've done is we've got one of our favourite monsters from the series, and we've made it into a cake. I wonder if you can guess which monster that might be.
Oh, it's got to be the Daleks, I suppose. Mind you, John Pertwee wouldn't approve that.
You didn't see it out the corner of your eye then, or
No, I
anything?
didn't. No.
Now, I'm going to ask you all to help me blow out the candles,
Oh, look at
half
this.
of which are lit. We couldn't even
Can't afford the matches anymore.
If you'd all like to count to three and blow. Nicholas, would you like to come and join? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, very good. Oh, no! It's all gone on my side again.
Oh, those igniting ones.
Nicholas,
They're a fire
Nicholas
brigade
and
here.
Mary and Janet and Mark, thank you very much. And here's to the next 20 years of Doctor Who.